2007, a silver Suzuki GSX-R appears on helmet camera doing 368 kilometers per hour on a rural German road. Speed limit is 100, but the bike's speedometer is pinned at 299. GPS confirms the actual speed. The rider is filming everything. 3 months later, the same footage appears on a DVD. Turbo Rider to the limit. Wheelies at 250 kilometers per hour. Overtakes in oncoming traffic at 340. High-speed tunnel runs through Paris with cars coming the other way. The DVD sells thousands of copies through motorcycle forums. German police receive reports. Citizens want to know what authorities are doing about it. The problem, police already know who's filming. His name is Thomas Vogg, a 32-year-old former race car driver from Munich. But for 4 years, Vogg crossed Germany at speeds that made enforcement impossible while documenting every violation in high definition. Here's what he did, how he stayed untouchable, and what finally stopped him. Vogg didn't start as Turbo Rider. He started as a race car driver who got bored with tracks. Racing circuits felt too controlled, too predictable. He wanted the adrenaline that came from unpredictability, so he switched to motorcycles, built 2 machines specifically for extreme speed, a Suzuki GSX-R 1000 with a custom turbocharger. Total modifications: 38,000 euros, 300 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.7 seconds, 0 to 300 in under 11 seconds. His second bike was a turbocharged Suzuki Hayabusa with identical power output. Both machines featured custom brakes for repeated high-speed stops, upgraded suspension for stability above 300, enhanced cooling systems, digital speedometers that maxed at 299 kilometers per hour because German regulations prohibited higher displays, GPS units to verify actual speeds, and 3 state-of-the-art HD cameras mounted to capture every angle. The Autobahn has no general speed limit on many stretches. Vogg used those sections for his highest speed runs, east of Munich, where traffic thins and straightaways stretch for kilometers. One run captured on film shows him hitting nearly 370 kilometers per hour. The bike's display is pinned at 299. The GPS shows the real number. Wind resistance at that speed creates forces trying to rip the rider off the bike. Vogg stays locked in position, arms extended, body flat against the tank, head tucked behind the windscreen. At 370, reaction time becomes theoretical. A car changing lanes gives you less than 2 seconds to respond. The human nervous system wasn't designed for velocities where objects appear and disappear in fractions of seconds. Vogg held those speeds for extended runs, not brief acceleration bursts. Sustained velocity where the bike vibrates continuously and every road imperfection translates through the handlebars. He later described it as requiring 100% focus. Curves feel like walls because the bike wants to continue straight while you're forcing it into a turn. Above 330 kilometers per hour, the forces involved exceed what normal riding experience prepares you for. But the Autobahn runs weren't what made him infamous. Watch the sequence filmed on a country highway with an 80 km per hour limit. Vogg appears doing over 250. The road has 2 lanes, oncoming traffic, blind corners. A car pulls out from a side road ahead. Vogg has 1 second to react. He adjusts his line, passes the car with maybe a meter of clearance, continues accelerating. Another clip shows him on a rural road doing 340 kilometers per hour. A vehicle ahead begins changing lanes, no signal. Vogg threads the gap between the moving car and oncoming traffic. The margin is measured in centimeters. One documented run, 51 kilometers from Bozen to San Leonardo in Italy in 20 minutes. Average speed well over 150 kilometers per hour on mountain roads with switchbacks and blind corners. He later admitted on camera that his riding endangered others. He knew accidents were a matter of time. The stunts weren't just speed. Wheelies at 250 kilometers per hour, sustained balance with the front wheel airborne for hundreds of meters. The physics require constant throttle adjustment. Too much power and the bike flips backward, too little and the front drops. Rear-wheel driving over 300 kilometers per hour. He'd spin the rear tire while maintaining forward momentum. The technique requires managing wheel speed independently from bike speed. Burnouts that left rubber streaks across intersections, stoppies where he'd brake hard enough to lift the rear wheel, street jumps over padded pits. He even attempted backflips, though those resulted in serious injuries. By 2010, Vogg had sustained crashes that would end most riding careers. Comminuted fracture in his left foot, torn ligaments, 5 nails inserted in the left foot, 3 screws in the right. Metal wiring for fixation. Recovery took 3 months. Most riders would retire. Vogg used the recovery time to plan more runs. The 2007 DVD release made Vogg famous beyond motorcycle communities. Turbo Rider, To the Limit, featured 60 minutes of stunts across multiple countries. High-speed runs through German, Austrian, Italian, and French roads. Tunnel dashes through Paris. Overtakes in oncoming traffic at speeds that left no margin for error. Vogg handled distribution personally.
Stellen kein Tempolimit. Es ist also theoretisch nicht verboten, 400 Stundenkilometer zu fahren. Doch solche Raser
Sold copies through forums like maxrev.de and hayabusa.org. Just word-of-mouth sales that moved thousands of units. Clips appeared online. Forums analyzed the footage frame by frame. Writers studied his body positioning and throttle control. Some viewers called him reckless. Others called him a legend. German police called him a problem. German TV networks produced documentaries. DMAX featured his exploits in street racing coverage. Media framed him as Deutschland's bekanntester Raser, Germany's most famous speeder. The publicity didn't bring consequences. 4 years of documented violations, 0 arrests. The question everyone asked, how? Here's what German authorities were actually dealing with. Vogg wasn't just avoiding police. He'd built a 5-layer system where each component neutralized specific enforcement mechanisms. Most illegal street racers hide evidence. Vogg weaponized it. Layer 1, legal modifications as defensive infrastructure. Vogg's bikes featured TÜV certification. TÜV is Germany's technical inspection authority. Getting modifications certified means they meet safety standards. The bikes were street legal despite being built for extreme speeds. This wasn't accidental. Operating an illegal vehicle carries severe penalties: vehicle seizure, immediate impound, criminal charges. Operating a legal vehicle at illegal speeds creates prosecution complications. If police impounded his bike, they'd find TÜV-approved components, custom brakes, adjustable suspension, upgraded cooling, everything documented, everything certified. The modifications themselves weren't criminal, only how he used them. Layer 2, documentation as reasonable doubt. Vogg mounted 3 HD cameras on his bikes, helmet cam for point-of-view footage, side-mounted cameras for angle shots, chase vehicles with external cameras. German law required prosecutors to prove the defendant committed specific violations at specific times in specific locations. Vogg's video showed violations happening, but proving he was the rider in every frame without additional evidence became legally complex. The helmet cam never showed his face. The footage never showed him removing his helmet or identifying himself verbally. License plates were visible but not readable in most shots. When authorities questioned him, Vogg could argue the videos documented stunts performed by various riders. Maybe he filmed them, maybe he edited them, but proving he personally committed every violation shown required evidence beyond the footage itself. Layer 3, speed as pursuit neutralization. Watch any normal traffic stop. Police observe a violation, pursue the vehicle, initiate a stop. The system works because the suspect stays within catchable range. Vogg eliminated catchable range as a concept. At 300 plus kilometers per hour, patrol cars can't pursue. German police drive BMW 5 Series and Mercedes E-Class vehicles fast for patrol cars, meaningless against turbocharged sport bikes doing triple their top speed. One documented sequence shows him approaching a checkpoint on the A7 near Munich. He sees the police positioning ahead. Instead of braking, he accelerates, hits 320 kilometers per hour before reaching the checkpoint, passes through before officers can react. The checkpoint was there, officers were positioned, they saw him. They couldn't do anything about it. German law created the final complication. Police policy strongly discouraged high-speed pursuits on public roads. If authorities chased Vogg and the pursuit caused an accident, they'd face questions about why they engaged. Vogg didn't outrun police, he made pursuing him a liability authorities couldn't accept. Layer 4, route intelligence and pattern elimination. Routes through Austria, runs in Italy, tunnel dashes in Paris. No predictable schedule, no favorite locations, no repeated patterns enforcement could anticipate. That Italian run from Bozen to San Leonardo required advanced knowledge. Where police positioned, which sections had camera coverage. Vogg wasn't riding randomly, he was selecting routes based on enforcement gaps he'd already mapped. Compare this to other riders. In 2008, a rider known as Hamburg Ghost was attempting similar stunts in northern Germany. Suzuki Hayabusa, high-speed Autobahn runs, wheelies through traffic. German police tracked his pattern. He favored the A1 Autobahn near Hamburg during late-night hours. Officers positioned units along his known route. When he appeared, they had helicopters ready and blocked exit ramps ahead of his position. He got caught at a service area 3 kilometers from where they'd first spotted him. Impounded bike, license suspension, criminal charges. The difference wasn't skill, it was operational discipline. Hamburg Ghost had a pattern. Vogg eliminated patterns systematically. Layer 5, legal framework exploitation. Germany's Autobahn culture creates unique enforcement complications. High speeds are normalized on certain sections. A bike doing 300 kilometers per hour on an unlimited stretch isn't violating speed laws. Vogg operated in both contexts. His highest speeds happened on unlimited sections where velocity itself wasn't illegal. His most dangerous violations happened on rural roads where he'd blow through at triple the limit. But proving which violations happened where required GPS evidence, timestamps, location verification. Vogg's released footage rarely showed clear location markers. Additionally, German law distinguished between administrative traffic violations and criminal offenses. Speeding alone was typically administrative. Criminal charges required proving reckless endangerment. Vogg's footage showed him overtaking in traffic but rarely showed near collisions. He was skilled enough to make dangerous riding look controlled. When police did stop him at one checkpoint, Vogg reportedly questioned why they'd pulled him over and avoided providing clear identification before leaving. What's certain is he was never prosecuted criminally during his active years. The 5-layer system worked because each component covered gaps the others couldn't. 2 legal modifications prevented vehicle seizure consequences. Documentation created reasonable doubt. Speed neutralized pursuit capability. Route variation eliminated predictable patterns. Legal framework understanding prevented criminal prosecution. Remove any single layer and the system collapses. Keep all 5 intact and you operate in the space between evidence and consequences. Compare Vogg to other notorious riders who got caught. British rider Dan Hawkins got arrested during a routine traffic stop when officers recognized him. French rider Rider 59 was identified through cell phone data linked to his filming locations. Each of them made one critical mistake. They created a link between their identity and specific prosecutable violations. Vogg avoided that link for 4 years. The system protected him. Until it didn't. Understanding why requires examining what happened on May 7, 2011. Rural intersection near Munich. Mid-afternoon. Speed limit 80 kilometers per hour. A Volkswagen T4 delivery van approaches the intersection and begins a left turn. Vogg approaches on his motorcycle. He's traveling over 250 kilometers per hour. At legal speeds, the van's turning violation would be a near miss or minor collision. At 250, physics eliminates all other outcomes. The time between when the van appears in Vogg's path and when impact occurs is measured in fractions of a second. Too fast for braking, too fast for evasion, too fast for anything except collision. The impact is instantaneous. Vogg dies at the scene. The van's damage confirms the velocity. Forensic analysis isn't necessary. The wreckage tells the story. No helmet cameras recovered. No filming equipment on the bike. Whether he was documenting that ride remains unknown. His identity was confirmed through other means, though German privacy laws prevented release of autopsy details. The van driver committed a turning violation. That's documented in police reports, but the determining factor wasn't the violation. It was the speed. At 80 kilometers per hour, maybe both people walk away with injuries. At 250, there's only one possible outcome. For 4 years, Vogg had been making a calculation. The probability of catastrophic failure versus the reward of sustained operation at extreme limits. Every ride was a data point. Every successful run reinforced the belief that skill could manage the risks. May 7, 2011 was the data point that ended the experiment. After Vogg's passing, the videos remained online. Fans added RIP to titles. The DVDs continued circulating through motorcycle communities. German authorities didn't change enforcement policies in response. The laws were already in place. The gaps Vogg exploited still existed. One writer had demonstrated that modern traffic enforcement has exploitable vulnerabilities. Speed cameras can't identify riders with hidden faces. Patrol cars can't pursue bikes doing triple their top speed. Legal frameworks create prosecution complications when violations are documented, but identity remains ambiguous. For 4 years, those vulnerabilities kept Vogg operating while authorities watched. Then physics eliminated the vulnerabilities that law enforcement couldn't close. What separates Vogg's story from typical street racing incidents is the systematic nature of his operation. 4 years of documented violations without criminal prosecution. That's deliberate exploitation of enforcement gaps. Most people see traffic laws as absolute constraints. Vogg saw them as parameters with exploitable tolerances. He operated inside those tolerances until external variables exceeded his control. The 5-layer system he built wasn't about being fastest. It was about staying operational while remaining visible. Each component neutralized specific enforcement mechanisms. Together, they created a space where German authorities knew what was happening but couldn't stop it. That's not racing. That's systems engineering applied to enforcement evasion. The motorcycle communities that discuss his footage years later aren't celebrating recklessness. They're analyzing system design. How did he stay untouchable while documenting everything? What were the actual mechanisms? The answer is in the layers. Remove the mystique. Remove the legend. What remains is a case study in how enforcement systems fail when someone understands their architecture better than the people operating them. May 7, 2011 didn't prove Vogg's system failed. It proved that no system can account for every variable. The van driver's turning violation was the variable Vogg's 5 layers couldn't neutralize. Single point of failure in an otherwise functional design. 4 years, thousands of runs, 0 arrests, 1 intersection. The legacy isn't heroic, it's architectural. Vogg designed a system where speed, legal knowledge, documentation strategy, and operational discipline reinforced each other. Each component covered vulnerabilities the others created. He didn't beat the system through luck or exceptional skill alone. He beat it by understanding how enforcement mechanisms function and building countermeasures for each one. That understanding kept him ahead of German authorities for 4 years while millions watched. Then one turning van demonstrated what law enforcement couldn't, that even perfectly designed systems have failure points they can't eliminate. If you found this one interesting, hit that like button and subscribe. There's more where this came from. What's your take on the German Turbo Rider? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.